Alright, so it's much sooner than last time that I got a video to y'all. It's May. So, yay, win. I had a lot of things go on the last couple weeks of April and also throughout May. It's been pretty good. First thing I want to talk to you about is last week of April I helped out with Glow Camp, which is Girls Leaving Our World. Program that Peace Corps volunteers take part in. And the whole point of this Glow Camp is to really work on empowering young women and encouraging them about their abilities to complete education, about dreaming about being something more, or just venturing outside of their community, because that's something that doesn't always happen here. You just, a lot of the times you grow up in your community, your village, and you never leave it. And so the Glow Camps are a way for us to get exposure to worlds outside of your community and just really focus on providing young women with the attention that a lot of the times that they don't get. So my role with working with the Glow Camp is I was talking about nutrition. That sort of seems to be my thing right now with other volunteers, is bring me in to talk about nutrition, which is, cool and all about that. And so we were talking about different ways to prepare meals and things like that. But the thing that really kind of stuck with me was there was one day a health worker came in to talk to these young women about birth control and family planning and saying no and stuff like that, which is a huge problem here. A lot of the times young women get taken advantage of by either classmates or even sometimes teachers. And how do I want to say this? It was interesting because a lot of these girls, who are essentially the age of high school students, were talking about since the age of being like in elementary school, they've been accosted or physically touched by teachers or other students. And they were talking about how a lot of the times they felt like they couldn't say no because they were going to get in trouble if they did say no. And what was interesting is these young women were recanting these stories is that it was done with laughter. And what I think that says is that it talks about how laughing about it was almost a way to make it more digestible, I guess. But the attitude from the girls was like, isn't it silly that these men are so ridiculous that they have to behave this way and they treat us like this? Like, can't they just get over the fact that, like, we're women, like, ha ha ha, kind of like thing. And it was kind of hard to, like, listen to that, like, coming from a place where that's really wrong. Like, you're not supposed to do that to students. And, listening to this health worker just talk to these women about, you can say no, and this is how you say no, because I think that's a big thing, is actually talking to women about how to say no rather than just saying no. So that was really interesting. It was just insightful in terms of giving me a perspective. I don't work a lot with students or schools in an official educational capacity. Ghana is a country that has corporal punishment in schools, and you hear a lot of horror stories about kids getting caned brutally or things like this. And I have a lot of respect for education volunteers because they work within a system out here that is in some desperate need of some systemic change. And working on the grassroots level that we work at, it's really hard to get that systemic change. But the education volunteers are resilient, and I have so much respect for them because they work within these systems that a lot of them view to be, a lot of them that really would benefit from some top-down change. And watching volunteers work on a grassroots level, on a community level, to try to implement sustainable change or help improve the education level of these students, it's amazing the work that they do. And I think that it takes a lot of dedication. So, good job, Ed volunteers. So anyway, that was like a big thing that I've been sort of thinking about. Aside from that, we had our first cooking demonstration in my community. I think I told you all a lot in my last video that my neighbor Asha, she's actually a mother of 7, and I'm really close with this family, Asha and her husband Adams, and I'm really close with their kids. Their kids are the ones that take care of my garden and stuff like that while I'm gone. But Asha has just been so motivated about working on improving nutrition in our community and really like working with the women to try to help share the knowledge that she got when I took her to the nutrition training back in October. So what ended up happening is we went down to the clinic and talked to the head nurse and set everything up for us to do a cooking demonstration, and Asha decided that she wanted to do this mango cocoa, or what we would call porridge, mango porridge essentially. And what it is it's you take mangoes and yams, you boil them together, and then you add what we call kuli kuli, or groundnut powder, or peanut flour, and also moringa flour or powder to it. And it has the 3 food groups of Ghana. The 3 food groups of Ghana are Go, Grow, and Glow, which is your carbohydrates, your proteins, and then fruits and vegetables. So the point of this porridge is that it's supposed to be good for young children, and it has all the food groups that they need to have a well-balanced nutritional meal, and it's easily digestible because it's a porridge, essentially. And one of the reasons why we decided to do it was because it's mango season, and essentially what that means is we're just coming out of the hunger seasons, which is about 5 to 7 month period of time where we don't have food. And mangoes are kind of the first sign that the rains have come, crops are coming in, now we have food. And what ends up happening is we have all these mangoes, and a lot of the times they rot before we can even eat them all. So a big question ever since I got here has been a way to try to preserve mangoes or get the most use out of mangoes while we have them. So we did this mango porridge, and it was a huge success. One of the things that was really impressive to me was that the way that the mangoes are here, we have what are called local mangoes, and they're probably about like this big. And they're extremely fibrous and extremely stringy. So after you eat the mangoes, you're like oftentimes picking the strings out of your teeth, just because the fiber content is so high, which is different from the mangoes that we experience in the United States. Those types of mangoes, there's a mango that's similar to that type here. We call it a grafted mango. They're an imported mango. And so the small stringy ones are what we call local mangoes. So Asha and her husband were really concerned that the fibers from the mangoes would cause a choking hazard to the kids. And what I loved about this is that they thought this to be a problem and came up to a solution with it before they even told me that they were worried about this. And what they ended up doing is Asha ended up straining the mangoes to get all of the juice out, and just adding the mango juice to it, and also cutting down on the amount of fiber that'd be added to the porridge. So it was a lot smoother and easier for the kids to take, which was just super cool. So we had that cooking demonstration last week, 2 weeks ago, and there were 80 women that showed up, and everybody was just super thrilled, super jazzed that this was going on. And it was really exciting, and it was really cool to be a part of that. And something that I didn't even know is the head nurse had approached Asha earlier, and she told her that it had been a while since she had seen Asha and her youngest son, Yusuf, who's 2 years old now. And so the nurse was saying that she had thought that Yusuf had died because Yusuf used to be sick often. So Asha ended up telling her that ever since she went to this nutrition training that I took her to, she started changing the way that she was cooking the food. And since she changed the way that she was cooking the food and changing what Yusuf was eating, his health has improved a lot. And he hasn't been sick. And his weight's improved. And she said that was the reason why she wanted to start having these cooking demonstrations, because she saw the impact that it had on her son and his health, and knew that she needed to take that and teach that to other people. So I just thought that was like an amazing story that she shared with the nurse and the other women, and the women there were just super jazzed about it, super excited. And the thing that was great about it is the fact that it was really inexpensive because we used all local resources, and it's just really exciting. So I'm stoked to see what the next thing is that Asha wants to do next month. So it's going well. That's a really cool project that I'm glad is taken off essentially without me. So yay, cool. All right, yeah. So other thing about this family, because now I'm just talking about this family. I love this family. I hang out with them a lot. It's kind of cool. I started downloading pictures from Instagram because I follow National Geographic, and I started downloading these pictures, and I save them on my phone now. And then I show them to Adam's family, and it's just it's a riot, because there's all of these different animals that they've never seen before or heard of. And so we're talking about these animals, or we're talking about these different places in the world. And it was cool because during Farmers Month, which was a couple months ago, National Geographic had posted a bunch of pictures of farms from around the world. And so I was showing them about tea farms in China, and how in some parts of the world farming is done on canoes and stuff. And it was just really cool, and they were so jazzed about that. And it's something that I've kind of realized that a part of my service is I think just exposure to the world, because when you live in a rural community where you don't have electricity, there aren't TVs, and you get one radio station, and oftentimes you never leave your village, you're very shielded in terms of what goes on outside of your community. And so it's just been sort of interesting to kind of be in this position where I know of the world outside of my community, outside of Ghana, and talking to this family and showing them pictures about this world that exists that they've just never experienced. I enjoy those conversations, or being able to help kind of widen their worldview in that way. So I don't know, that's something that I've been doing lately, and I get a kick out of it, and the family gets a kick out of it, and I don't know, it's pretty cool. So yeah. For the rest of this month, let's see what's going on. Super excited. Another volunteer is coming up to my community this weekend, and we're working on building water filters to help filter out Greywater. The point is that we've been talking about doing this for a while, And I know I've mentioned this in another video, but the idea is now that we've compiled a lot of our research and we've been looking at a bunch of different models, we're going to try to replicate some of these models that we've been looking at and using all local resources and materials, so that way we can set households up with having water filters for bath water and laundry water and dishwater, and then that way we can filter out water and make it safe for gardens. So super excited. I'm really, this is going to be great because water is such a finite, scarce resource, and this is an opportunity for us to use water that would normally be thrown out and filter it out to make it safe and put it in gardens. And when everybody has a home garden, then that means we have more food. That means our hunger months are shorter. That means we can now access food better, prepare more nutritional food, and health goes up in general. So it's super exciting, and I'm really glad that we're moving forward on this. It's taken us some time, but it's cool because we're doing research and trying to get everything worked out to be able to do this. So working on that this weekend. Anyway, month's been good, and made your video early, and yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a good Mother's Day, because that's the month. And until next time. Alright, later.